Hey guys, back again to do another reading. Been gone for a little while. I had a hernia surgery I had to get done. Just about recovered. That was not a fun one. I'll tell you that. That would be my third hernia. They are never fun as far as recovery goes. But I am getting back to the swing of things. We've been busy. Obviously, we did that fundraiser. That was a lot, but very successful. And thank you to all the supporters that showed up. It was phenomenal. It was great, fantastic. We had a great time. The comedian was great. The DJ was great. Just everything about it was wonderful. So thank you to all who showed up today. I have to start with this. As always, this is opinion based. We are not professionals. We are here to provide inspiration, and we are currently working on a resource page uh, for professionals if anybody is seeking a professional to talk to. Also, another bit of news is we just finished our development, our second development. I saw it last night. It looks great. It was with the designer and a developer. He's doing a great job. We're going to be posting that on the website too at www at wellnessvr.org. And I'm going to put all the development stages. I think we have one on there now that shows the virtual, the VR goggles. We're doing a PC now. We decided that we feel that starting with the PC portion and then going to VR is probably the best way to do it. It is a lot faster, and the experience is just going to be as wonderful. It just won't be in 3D, but it will be. Where our goal is to provide our platform to whether it be VA hospitals, maybe some shelters, anywhere where there's a PC station, and our design is going to be made so that it's not, you don't need this really high speed gaming type computer to utilize our platform. So that's very important. I wanted to make sure of that. So that will be up on the site soon. We're developing a little how do I want to say this? Just a little snippet of the experience while we're walking through our platform. It's really cool. I'm really happy with it. I can't wait to show you guys. So today we're going to talk about facing suffering with something I have faced or didn't face after the death of my son. I did okay. You know, I do tend to meditate. I'm meditating even more now, which is, oh, I love it, twice a day now. It's so relaxing. Um, but with the death of my son, I had it was. I'm always one. Oh, I got this. I can handle this. No problem. And I did for the most part, but there was a day when I just completely lost it. I didn't relapse or do anything like that. It was just a really bad day, and I realized what it was, and that was me not really fully facing what happened with my son. He died at 30 years old, as many of you who watch my readings. I don't have a bunch of people yet. I'm hoping to get more. But as everybody knows who does look at these, you know, I lost my son to an accidental overdose of fentanyl. He was 30 years old. Very tough to deal with. Still dealing with. It never goes away, ever. But it does get. I shouldn't even say easier. You can't. You can't. You just you. It's what gets easier is knowing how to deal with the pain and the suffering. That's what gets easier. The death part of it and losing a loved one is never easy. That's the bottom line. So today we're going to start again. It's called Facing Suffering. We're going to do this in two parts. This is part one, and I'm just going to read it and maybe say some stuff on it, or just keep going. We'll see how it goes. As you know, these are very raw. I don't have any gadgets, any podcasts, microphones. I'm literally in my room, sitting up and reading to you guys, and that's how I like to keep it. So you know, it's just not some kind of um, fancy. Ooh, look at me! Look how fancy things look. No, I have a little background for you, and it's just me. Here we go. Although pain and suffering is a universal human phenomena, that doesn't mean we have an easy time accepting them. Human beings have devised a vast repertoire. Woo, that's a fancy word, and I got it out. I'm impressed with myself. I got to tell you, repertoire sounds fancy. Of some strategies for avoiding having to experience suffering. Sometimes we use external means such as chemicals, deadening, and medicating our emotional pain with drugs and alcohol. We've all done it or we are doing it. Um, I do know that many of us who are still dealing with substance use disorder, you don't want to be there. And I know this. You never think you can go and ever see that light again, but it's there. I've told you guys that before. Um, but a lot of times, pain and suffering, you don't even know it, is causing you to use, and you're trying to numb something. And it might not be a loss of somebody; it could be anything that's caused you pain. And and this portion I'm going to read, it talks about not necessarily how to do it, but what it is. And then hopefully as we go on, it explains what the best practices are is to deal with them. If not, I will find something, but I'm pretty sure this section does that. But um, I'll make sure that I, you know, uh, get us something that we can look to make it easier to deal with. Because there is things that, besides numbing, there is definitely better ways of dealing with things, trauma and suffering out there. I promise you that. I'm living proof, and my wife is living proof, and there's many people out there are living proof. Okay, let's continue. We have an array of internal mechanisms as well as psychological defenses, often unconscious, that keeps us from feeling too much emotional pain and anguish when we are confronted with problems. It's a safety net, a safety shield, is what a lot of it's. That's just what the body does, and that is always not a good thing because it's suppressing it. Sometimes these defects they can be primitive, such as sometimes we refuse to recognize that the problem exists. So just like and the 12 steps, there's a portion of it where you have to basically admit that you have a problem, and that's the same thing. You have to admit to yourself, okay, um, I'm suffering from this, or I have to face this head on. That's what that means. Okay, let's keep on going. Suffering can only be avoided temporarily, but like a disease that's left untreated, it festers and worsens. The high from drugs or alcohol, certainly eases our pain for just a while, but with continued use, the physical damage to our bodies and the social damage to our lives can cause far more suffering than the diffuse dissatisfaction. Whoa, dissatisfaction. Ooh, I could say repertoire, but I can't say dissatisfaction or the acute emotional pain that led us to these substances in the first place. The internal psychological defense that, like denial or repression, may shield and protect us from feeling the pain, like I just spoke about, a bit longer, but it still doesn't make the suffering disappear. It won't go away, as I discussed as well. Um, Situations like, for instance, with the death of my son. After death, for instance, when somebody may die or something happen, and you're just like, "Oh, I'm fine." Uh, are you? Are you fine? Is that just a lot of times when you ask somebody how you doing, they're like, "Fine." Um, that's usually just a word that is said because that's an automatic response, but you have to really dig deep and say, "Am I fine?" and open up to the fact that you may not be fine and it's normal. You might be hurting, very, very normal, like many people. All right. In order to be strong, fully doubt. Oh, they were talking about a story. All is good. The feelings continue to grow until finally manifesting as an overpowering depression that was forced to deal with. So, as in death or any kind of trauma, um, you might end up being depressed, and it happens a lot, a lot. Sometimes, however, our unconscious strategies to avoid facing these problems are more deeply seated, deeply ingrained coping mechanisms that become embedded in our personality and hard to extract. Most of us know a friend or somebody or a family member who avoids problem by projecting onto others and blaming them, accusing others of having faults that in fact are his or her own. I've done that where I'm like this because he did that, she did that, that happened, this happened, it happened, and it's painful. But by blaming others, uh, you're not coping with it. You're just pointing fingers. You're not coping with that pain and the suffering and that grief inside. You're just pointing fingers because it's kind of an easy out, is what that is. An easy answer. Okay. Others having fun. Okay. This certainly isn't an effective method of eliminating problems. However, and many of these individuals are condemned to a lifetime of unhappiness as long as they continue the same pattern. As a natural fact of human existence, and currently face our problems head on. Oh, I'm sorry. Accepting suffering as a natural fact of human existence, you're not any different than anybody else going through it. Um, eh, but you must be courageous and face the problems head on, as I just said. So I guess what I'm doing a lot in this reading is I'm getting way ahead of myself. But you guys are, I'm hoping you're understanding um, what I'm trying to read to you, and it's helpful. That's my biggest thing, as you know. I'm hoping it helps. Trying to avoid our problems or simply not thinking about them may provide temporary relief, as I just said, but I think that there is a better approach. If you directly confront it, you will be in a better position to appreciate the depth and the nature of the problem. For example, you might consider things like old age and death as a negative, unwanted, and simply try to forget about it. This is just examples of death or getting old. There's a lot of other issues that are not mentioned here, but this is just an example of a couple things. Is a part of that. You basically want to recognize where you're at and what is causing any kind of suffering or pain for yourself. Okay, that's all they said there. If you avoid thinking about these things when the day comes that any of these events occur, it will come as a shock, cause an unbearable mental uneasiness, and that's basically avoiding it is what they're saying here. That's why it may be useful it may be useful to prepare yourself ahead of time by familiarizing yourself with the kinds of suffering you might encounter. So, like I said, dig deep, find out what's causing the pain, and try to go about it in a different manner. And as I said earlier, as I was rambling earlier about trying, I'm going to see if this chapter actually explains. I don't. It's been a little bit since I read this book. If it explains what kind of tools, because I want to make sure I give you some tools, opinionated tools that might work for you. And that's just, again, is my opinion on what's helped me. So, with that, when you face it, when it does happen, or this in this instance, we're saying old age and and death. Um, but again, you should not forget the fact that this does not alleviate the situation. So you can you can continue to cause pain to yourself, remembering past issues, but it's there. It's always going to be there until you step up and deal with it. Okay, continue here. There it is. There's no way to avoid the fact that suffering is a part of life. It it's going to happen, and man, I wish it didn't. But there's always going to be bad days, or something's going to happen. I'm getting to the age myself where parents, loved ones, uncles, aunts, they're starting to pass, and it's inevitable. It hurts, and it will hurt. But if you prepare yourself or tell yourself that these things are inedible, it does make it easier when it comes. In this instance, again, we're talking about death and old age. It could be the pain that you're dealing with. It's still a way of, if you, it's still going to be there, is what I'm saying. There's no avoiding it. It's there. So why not, rather than avoid it and numb it, why not face it, fight it, get over that? Because you don't want to feel like that all the time. Nobody does. You just want joy like everybody else. And this is a part of life. Life is not easy. It's not an easy thing for anybody. And if they say it is, oh, my life is easy now, then they're probably not telling the truth. So once you understand that and accept this reality, then you experience suffering as something that is quite natural, as I just stated. I think we have just one more page, you guys. Yeah, one more. And I got this whole section, this whole paragraph highlighted. So for instance, if your basic outlook is that suffering is negative and must be avoided at all costs, and in some sense is a sign of failure, this will add a distinctive psychological component of anxiety and intolerance when you encounter difficult situations, a feeling of being overwhelmed. Or, on the other hand, if your basic outlook accepts that suffering is a natural part of your existence, this will undoubtedly make you more tolerant towards the adversities of life. And without a certain degree of tolerance towards your suffering, your life becomes miserable. Then it's like having a very bad night or day. That night seems eternal, it never seems to end. We're going to leave that there. I think you I'm hoping you grasp the concept of pain and suffering, and what you want to take away from this is you want to face it, and it's time to face it. Maybe let's start there, and then again, as I said before, I'm going to see about some tools. My biggest thing is meditation. It's difficult but to do, but you could start off with just 5 minutes. Give yourself, how about a break? How about a little vacation, a little mind vacation, of just not worrying or stressing, just for a bit. 5 minutes. Try that for me. That's a good tool right there. Let's start off with that. Maybe there's other ways, but that, I'm telling you, meditation and just quieting your mind for yourself. Go get away from whatever it is. Go to a quiet place, wherever that may be. 5 minutes, and then what happens? Your mind's going to keep hearing, wanting to chatter, chatter, chatter. That's okay. It's good. That's how it starts. It always. And you're like, I can't do it now. I did it. I still do it. It takes me a while. Like I'll do like 45-minute meditations, because the last 15 minutes I was really meditating, because all that other 30 minutes or whatever it was just literally my mind going on, going crazy. So you'll get there. You just, fight for yourself and try this. Try it for 5 minutes, then jump on and then try it for 10 minutes. And even if that whole 10 minutes is mind chatter, at least you should praise yourself. You should be happy that you took the time for yourself and your mind. So, with that, guys, I'm going to end it here. I hope you found that useful. And again, this is opinionated based website. Uh, the the book. If you want to know the name of the book that I'm reading here, you can go ahead and comment on our site. as I said before, and you can leave a comment just stating, "Hey, Dave, I want to know what are you reading? Who's the author?" And as I always say, for copyright reasons, I don't read the whole book word for word. I just kind of jump all over and I highlight the things that I feel that are useful to everybody. All right. I hope you guys have a great night. Have a great week. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, take care.